The world's largest bank is making one of the biggest Bitcoin backflips that we've seen on the planet to this date. But they're also scooping up MicroStrategy at an unprecedented rate. Now, this potentially could cause a supply shock in MSTR, as well as causing $1 million Bitcoin. Now, before you tell me I'm crazy, I'm going to dive into how JP Morgan could potentially cause all of this here in the near future. But first, let's dive into this little interesting tidbit that I uncovered here, as we're seeing a recent report on their 13F filings from JP Morgan, just showing the amount of institutional ownership of MSTR skyrocketing in flight, as we're seeing them scoop it up at an absolutely crazy rate. I mean, look at this chart. It was down in the dumps, and now these institutions are scooping it up. But why is this one of the biggest backflips of all time? And what else coincidentally just happened today that we saw JP Morgan now say that they will allow all of their clients to buy Bitcoin? Now, this is a huge backflip, and it's a portion of why I always say, watch what they do, not what they say, because we are going to see something very, very interesting from the largest asset holder of any single bank in the United States. Of course, that's JP Morgan, with $3.46 trillion worth of assets here. And now, this big backflip that we've seeing is straight out of Jamie Dimon. I mean, he's still, to this day, he's doubling, tripling, quadrupling down, saying, I am not a fan of Bitcoin. Now, like I said, it's a thing of watch what they do and not what they say. And we'll get into all of this on how it's connected to the great Bitcoin potentially supply shock here very soon. But we have to keep and remember where all of these guys came from. They're strictly in it to pump their own bags. We've got Jamie Dimon not too long ago saying that Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme, even though now he's allowing his investors all to buy it. He said that he's done talking about Bitcoin, and this was in January 17th, 2024. Well, look at the date here. He's done talking about it. He said today that they're going to allow their clients to buy Bitcoin. He even said today that he's still not a fan of Bitcoin. So despite what this guy is saying, how Bitcoin's absolutely crazy, how, it's a Ponzi scheme, it should be used for sex traffickers, all of these things, he's opening the door for all of this, and they are doubling up and tripling and quadrupling up on their exposure to MSTR. Now, many people believe that MSTR is basically a leveraged play on Bitcoin. So a lot of people, a lot of institutions buy MSTR as a way to get exposure into Bitcoin. In fact, if you look at the underlying company, they've lost money for the past 4 years every single quarter. So now tell me, what changed and why is this one of the best performing stocks in the NASDAQ 100 and potentially soon to be S&P 500? Well, it's because of the underlying asset. It's because of Bitcoin. It's because of all the different things that they are holding here. So we're seeing these things shoot up to a place that we have never seen before. So Jamie Dimon, even though he has been hating on Bitcoin this whole time, he's been saying that, oh, there's a real JP Morgan. They're using a real blockchain. And I went over this in a live stream not too long ago about how they're going to use some sort of blockchain technology in order to now bring JP Morgan clients to more of this blockchain stuff and using it for bank-to-bank transfers. But, it's like I said, it's watch what they do, not what they say. Because Jamie Dimon has realized something that many other money managers have realized. If you're holding cash on the balance sheet, even if you're a zombie company, it's not going to benefit anybody. And so I love to show this graphic here, but it's the MicroStrategy reflective flywheel, right? So many other companies have started to use this and implement this. In fact, we've seen 21 now come on board. We've seen Nakamoto from David Bailey. And I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see more institutions start to implement this Bitcoin related policy. But that's neither here nor there because we're starting to see this take off, right? And let's refresh our memories here. It's MicroStrategy will then issue debt to buy Bitcoin. Same thing with 21, same thing with Nakamoto. Then when that Bitcoin price increases, the MSTR market cap will then increase. And then on top of that, they'll join indices and their weight will be increased in those indices like the NASDAQ 100, potentially the S&P 500. And MSTR will issue more equity to buy more Bitcoin. Then the flywheel continues. BTC keeps increasing. The market cap's increasing. The weight in the indices keep increasing. And they will issue more equity to buy Bitcoin. But why am I saying that this could cause a potential Bitcoin supply shock and now send Bitcoin to $1 million? Well, something that a lot of people aren't talking about. The whales are coming. The whales are here, folks, and those whales are institutions. And we'll go into more proof on that here just in a second. But look at what we're seeing. This is absolutely skyrocketing. At least 2,400,000 Bitcoin has been accumulated by whales in just this past quarter alone. So we are seeing whales aggressively accumulating Bitcoin. And look at this is all the wallets with at least 100 Bitcoin. Now, we've seen Bitcoin start to change hands here in ownership, right? Who's selling? It's not the institutions, it's the individuals that are selling this Bitcoin, right? So we're seeing businesses now start to scoop up Bitcoin, and the amount of wallets with over 100 Bitcoin are skyrocketing in flight as we're seeing this all take off at a very, very rapid pace. So the change in the ownership here, seeing the businesses now start to come on board, seeing more businesses and institutions now look at MSTR and what they are doing, it's only a matter of time. It's simple supply and demand economics here. We are going to start to see all of this quickly get scooped up. And on top of that, we are seeing massive amounts of Bitcoin getting taken off of exchanges. So we're seeing a combination of a few things. Let's review. We're seeing MSTR getting scooped up by JP Morgan at an exponential rate, which will allow MSTR to then now issue more debt to buy more Bitcoin. And then we're getting more and more institutions coming on, and it's evident within the data. But it's not just the institutions. I'll get into who else is buying Bitcoin here in the near future, as long as you stick along here for the ride on this amazing live stream that you guys got, or that we got here for you guys today. But I think the combination of all of these things is leading to something very simple, right? At the end of the day, we're starting to see Bitcoin getting scooped up off of exchanges. We're seeing Bitcoin now go from individuals into institutional hands. And what's a unique aspect of that, right? Is these institutions, they're not the paper-handed sellers. They're not going to necessarily worry about their cost basis just as much. Maybe they're not going to be into these mental barriers as 100K is around. Maybe, they're going to be a little bit stronger of holders than we're used to potentially seeing here in the Bitcoin space. And so when we see Bitcoin start to jump around, and we've got Bitcoin here at 105,000, when we start to see that price start to jump around a bit, this is where institutions are going to come in. They're going to start to come in when they see Bitcoin's market cap start to increase as well, because quite frankly, it takes off a lot of the risk of adding Bitcoin to the balance sheet. So as Bitcoin is now the sixth largest asset by market cap, this, in an institutional investor's eyes, brings away a lot of the risk, right? And we're still seeing a unique aspect of the ETFs and, the potential pension funds, sovereign wealth funds. We'll get into those players here in a second, but a lot of these big dogs coming in and buying Bitcoin. And they're buying Bitcoin at a rate where we're seeing the number of addresses with over 100 Bitcoin go exponential. And that exponential increase is just proof that institutions are coming and they're here to stay. I mean, the change of ownership in just one quarter, has been astronomical. We're seeing governments, everybody else, the funds and the ETFs all start to get up Bitcoin while individuals are selling it off. Now, there is one caveat I like to make here, is that the perception around the ETFs is that it is all institutions buying these ETFs. Not so fast, my friend. A recent study came out and showed that out of the ETFs, 75 to 80% of those ETFs are all being bought by retail. So retails are still trusting, BlackRock and all of these big money managers to hold your Bitcoin, which I think is something that you should be very wary and very cautious of, because of course I always point out the potential of a paper Bitcoin attack to you guys. But I think the true power of Bitcoin is always holding Bitcoin in self-custody. And that's where I think you guys, the number one place where I've partnered up with is the Bitcoin Well. And they give away free sats every single time you come to a Green Candle live stream. So make sure you're smoking that like Cheech and Chong, and you hit that subscribe button, because we are about to give you guys some free sats here, courtesy of the Bitcoin Well. But remember, if you sign up at bitcoinwell.com/greencandle, you make your first transaction, you get 2 chances right off the jump just to potentially win 1 million sats. Then on top of that, if you set up the recurring buy, this is the hack. Set up the recurring buy, buy 5, 10, 15, $20 weekly, daily, whatever you guys can do, monthly even. You do all that, and then the Bitcoin Well will give you more opportunities to win Bitcoin through the wishing well. Now, let's go in and let's see what the wishing well will give you here. Boom, 478 sats straight to your dome piece. So we've got Finis in here saying that, oh, just because something isn't profitable, Bitcoin is a Ponzi. Come on, man. It's simple supply and demand economics. We've got McLovin. I am not your father. Unfortunately, Joshua, I don't know if I have any children. That's a nice little joke, nice little pat on the back. Who knows? There might be a Brandon Jr. running around here, but either way, if you guys want to go to bitcoinwell.com/greencandle, you can enter your email or go to their OTC desk, buy 50K smackers worth of Bitcoin today, because we're not seeing under that 100K. I'm putting the green candle. Well, maybe we will. Maybe we will see high 90s, but I don't foresee 100K Bitcoin this low that much more frequently. And then on top of that, you want to have it in cold storage, right? We're seeing the ETFs, institutions all buy up Bitcoin. So you could go to bitbox.swiss. I actually have mine sitting here right next to me. I think this is the best hardware wallet for you to buy. So bitbox.swiss/greencandle. You can use promo code greencandle and get 5% off your entire order. And they've even got a steel wallet for you here, so you can use that to get your seed phrase all in metal opposed to paper. So you could do that, and you need to do it quickly, right, folks? Because even though Jamie Dimon is saying, hey, we will allow all of our investors to buy Bitcoin, there is one unique caveat that he made. He said that they're not going to custody their Bitcoin. So, why would Jamie Dimon say that? And why aren't they going to, now start to hold Bitcoin, right? I mean, it seems like it just doesn't really make any sense whatsoever. So we've seen a Bitcoin backflip of sorts here, and we're seeing Jamie Dimon, we're seeing JP Morgan scoop up Bitcoin at an all-time rate. And they're continuing to do that. And it's not just, what these institutional clients are doing and what we're seeing here. We're seeing everybody just start to bend the knee. These clients are now starting to, are these banks are now starting to offer their clients more Bitcoin. And it's just a matter of time. And it seems like this flip that they're making is very, very interesting because, everybody's looking at the charts, and we've got friend of the program, Checkmatey, even saying Bitcoin seems to want to go higher. A lot of these guys are seeing this and saying, hey, we understand where Bitcoin is going, the fundamentals here. And we are looking at, Jamie Dimon saying that they won't custody Bitcoin for their clients, but they want all of them to buy it. So it's a point where they are essentially pumping their own bags here because they'll let the clients buy it. They'll have it go through essentially, Bitcoin and all, or they'll let it go through BlackRock and everything else. And it's a bit of a change since we saw Jamie Dimon actually come out and say, if any employee buys Bitcoin, then they will get fired, kicked in the chest, so to speak. And look, I was victim to that not too long ago here. So it's a big Bitcoin backflip that we're seeing. And, he is calling it a Ponzi scheme. He's doing this all in public. And we're seeing them flip all in front of our eyes. And I think it's because of what we're seeing here. Not only the price action, but they're seeing Bitcoin rapidly getting taken off exchanges, institution adoption rapidly increase. And this, I think, is more important than anybody is really giving it credit for, is that Bitcoin was designed to be a individual's game. Bitcoin was designed for an individual to start holding Bitcoin and continuing to do that as well, and just essentially hodl on. But the big time players that we're seeing come into this game are not going to be the paper-handed folks, right? These governments are not going to be day trading Bitcoin. These businesses are not going to be day trading Bitcoin. They're going to be figuring out different ways in order to scoop up Bitcoin and continue to buy Bitcoin and hold Bitcoin, right? So it's not something where we're going to continue to, see these bags getting pumped. It's not like we're going to go continue to see, JP Morgan making these Bitcoin backflips and nobody's going to be profiting off of it. No, no, no. These big institutions are looking at this as a way to pump their bags, and they're pumping their bags all right. I mean, I think it's just a matter of time. And, we're seeing them double and triple down on MSTR. And that's all because of this reflexive flywheel, right? It's all because of what we are seeing here with the amount of Bitcoin or MSTR being scooped up by Jamie Dimon. So these are smart guys. They know that they need to continue to buy Bitcoin and find ways to get exposed to Bitcoin. But Bitcoin has revolutionized the retirement game. And one thing that they have done very well is infiltrated these pension funds. So not only is Bitcoin being scooped up by banks and large asset managers, it is absolutely changing the game of retirement funds. And we're starting to see that as a big institutional player is now starting to buy Bitcoin. We've gotten the first UK pension fund now buying Bitcoin. And now we're seeing very large players also get exposure to Bitcoin through MSTR. So it's starting this flywheel, not the MSTR flywheel, but it's starting this flywheel effect of what we are seeing from second and third order effects of more institutions starting to buy Bitcoin. So this UK pension fund buying Bitcoin as now one of its main investment vehicles, I think is absolutely changing the game because of what we've seen, right? We've seen multiple different governmental funds now start to look at putting Bitcoin in their funds. And in fact, last year, not too long ago, we had the world's largest pension fund look at Bitcoin as an investment. And so Japan and their government's pension fund on Tuesday, on last year at this time, was saying it's requesting information on illiquidity assets such as Bitcoin as part of research into potential investments. And so it's not just UK. We've got the world's largest fund now looking at it. And if you look at it just visually, I love to show these visual cap graphics that they've got here because it just really helps put a lot of things in perspective, right? So Japan has a $1.6 trillion pension fund, which is essentially twice the size of the next largest retirement fund, and that's here in the United States. But we're starting to see the Asian continent start to come in to Bitcoin and come in very, very quickly as we're starting to see, the country of Korea. I want to say, let me pull this up. Saw it out here earlier today, but we've got more corporations, more pension funds starting to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet, really start to look at ways to get into Bitcoin. And it is absolutely taking off. Bitcoin adoption is accelerating. The amount that is getting scooped up here and absolutely going off of, Bitcoin on the balance sheet and going off of, what we're seeing. And I can't find that tweet just yet. Maybe I'll keep looking here in a second. But pension funds are a unique twist to what we're seeing, right? Bitcoin institutional adoption. And look at this. This is earlier this year, February 28th. Institutional adoption is absolutely taking off. But the unique aspect of this, look, this is not just Brandon and bullish green candle saying this. This is Yahoo Finance coming out and saying, look, we are looking at a potential of 700,000 per Bitcoin. Now, before you tell me, hey, this is nuts, what are you talking about here? We are seeing absolutely lunacy be here from the Bitcoin related stuff. So now we're seeing, okay, here we go. The presidential candidate for Korea's second largest party wants to invest in the national pension fund in Bitcoin, right? So we have a lot of giant players now coming into the game. This isn't just the small fish that we were seeing before. These, as I was lining out on this tweet here earlier, these guys are coming in and they're coming in quickly. The amount of whales with more than 100 Bitcoin in a single wallet is going exponential, right? So this exponential takeoff of the whales, these are the big guys who move the markets. And we've actually seen somewhat of a decline here from all of the price action. We still aren't even seeing all-time highs just yet. We're only seeing Bitcoin up 12% year to date. We haven't even hit the all-time high, which we reached that 108,000 not too long ago. And now we are seeing Bitcoin on the balance sheet and Bitcoin being talked about in some of the world's largest pension funds. But something else that we've seen as well is like the sovereign wealth funds. Norway's the largest sovereign wealth fund on the planet has already been exposed for buying MSTR. Saudi Arabia and the UAE. Those are two of the largest pension funds, or sovereign wealth funds, on the planet. They have already been exposed for buying BlackRock's IBIT Bitcoin ETF. We even have it at the state level here in the US, where we have the state of Wisconsin pension fund, including Bitcoin. And that's been going on for over a year. So all of these big dogs keep on coming in to buy more Bitcoin. And it's only a matter of time until we continue to see this, because, British HODL's lining it up here with this great report from River. Businesses, the funds, ETFs, that other is probably pension funds, sovereign wealth funds. They're starting to come into this game, and it's simple supply and demand economics here. The supply and demand economics show that there's 21 million Bitcoin, and the amount on exchanges is getting taken off at an all-time rate. You honestly can't make this up. It's right in the data. The data. It's showing all of these things. It's showing the big players are coming in. They're aggressively buying Bitcoin, with more than 240,000 Bitcoin being bought by institutions, and that's slowly being taken off exchanges. So the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges is decreasing very quickly, and the amount that's being scooped up by institutional type of holders, pension and sovereign wealth funds, is accelerating. Now, one thing that can make some people a little nervous about this is, how should I store my Bitcoin? Because we see all these different things getting taken off of exchanges at a rapid rate. This is why I've partnered with my friends over at the Bitcoin Way. Look, I've been told that I look like a funeral director. This is just for the death of fiat, but you could go to the bitcoinway.com/greencandle, and you could see this great funeral director looking picture of me here. And you could book a free consultation for 30 minutes for you, a family member, whoever you might need, in order to help make sure that your Bitcoin is secure. They've got over 25 years of cybersecurity experience. So if you want to check your computer, make sure that there's no viruses, no way a hacker could come in, you guys can do that, right? Go to bitcoinway.com, thebitcoinway.com/greencandle, and you see it, right? You could do all that, and you will be able to meet and discuss this with Bitcoiners. Something that I absolutely love to do is see all of you guys here, not only my virtual family here on YouTube, all 320 of you watching this, but also I want to see you guys at Bitcoin Prague. You could go to BTC Prague, get your tickets today, and you use promo code GreenCandle. We could hang out in one of the most electric cities in the world, and you'll get 10% off. And you guys better hurry up and do that, and do your homework. As Down Under Blues is saying, Bitcoin fails to meet all of the criteria of a Ponzi scheme. Exactly, right? JP Morgan has not done their homework. JP Morgan does realize, though, that Bitcoin does seem to want to go higher, as Checkmatey is pointing out. The Asian pension funds are doing their homework and seeing the way that these things are absolutely exploding up. So I think that it's just a matter of time until we see Bitcoin absolutely skyrocket in flight. As we're going to see here, this $105,000 worth of Bitcoin absolutely explode, and it's just simple supply and demand economics. So smoke the like Cheech and Chong, folks. Tell a friend to tell a friend. All 320 of you. This might be one of the bigger live streams that I've done, so I appreciate you guys all coming in, and I will see you guys all at the next run.